Hey guys, so today's video is going to be a bit of an announcement slash explanation. You probably have noticed that I've been off social media for about a month. I posted on well, not on all social media, but I posted on Instagram, on the grid, and on my stories kind of what was happening. But I do realize not all of you hang out on Instagram. And either way, I just wanted to make this video as, I don't know, it feels simultaneously embarrassing and empowering to talk about this on the internet. But yeah, the main reason would be that hopefully it would help any of you who are struggling the way that I was struggling, especially because that's a big part of what I talk about on my channel now is kind of, picking yourself up after you fall and going after what you want in life and all that good stuff. I did feel compelled to kind of speak on what happened. So, for those of you who don't know, I have been dealing with anxiety and, well, chronic anxiety for about a year. I talked a little bit about it in a video that I posted back in May, which I'll link somewhere. But in the video, I think I mentioned that I had my first panic attack. I had it back in May. And I had never had one before. I had lots of anxiety. Like I said, it's been about a full calendar year of just chronic anxiety, which I had never really dealt with before. For me, it was always kind of a matter of depression. And of course, I had felt levels of anxiety in my life, but this chronic kind of it was debilitating. It really did hinder me from doing things, enjoying things. I wasn't myself for the past year or so. I would go through periods where I'd feel a little better, and then the anxiety would come to like a head, and I would kind of crash. That's the best way I can put it. And I'll get into what I was diagnosed with and everything in a second because I know what it sounds like right now. But anyway, I have been dealing with that for about a year, and I thought I had the anxiety itself managed until May, when I had my first panic attack. And that was very scary. If you've never had a panic attack, it genuinely feels like you're dying. Like, it feels like your body is aware that it is currently dying, and the fear that you would imagine would come with that is there. And they've happened to me not, definitely not weekly, maybe not even monthly since May, but I still was having them up until the first week of October. I would say maybe I'd have one. I know I had one in September, and then maybe I would have two in October, or excuse me, in like August. I mean, they're really spread out and random, but the anxiety was still there. It's always chronic. So in the beginning of October, it was actually like October 1st, I started having panic attacks, and I was having them every day, sometimes two a day. And this went on, in totality, it went on for 10 days straight before it finally stopped. But day after day, as this situation is not getting any better, nothing is stopping it. I'm constantly afraid of having the panic attacks. And, my husband at the time wasn't even here. So I was doing everything still by myself and, trying to get my daughter taken care of and, your general responsibilities you have to deal with. And then you're dealing with anxiety and the fear of a panic attack on top of it. It was really, really frustrating. And then somewhere in this timeline between the 1st and the 10th of October, many things happened. I was taken to the ER in an ambulance. I was taken to the ER by a friend. I spoke to two different psychiatrists. Like, we were having, I was talking to my regular therapist almost every day, multiple times a day. And that was a very scary and frustrating time because I'm sure you can imagine what emergency rooms are like right now and how a panic attack is pretty low on the totem pole for emergency room workers, which is understandable. But nothing was stopping it, and that's really what I wanted help with. That's what I was freaking out so much about. And my therapist had been trying to talk me into getting on medication for almost 2 years, pretty much since my mom passed away. She was kind of telling me, like, all right, you're not really recovering from this the way that I would like to see you, recovering at this point. And I just kind of kept refusing it. That's a lot to do with the fact that my mom, when I was younger, had some issues with prescription drugs, and I just am afraid of them. I'm not going to lie. And it's a very personal choice, and it's something I was not ready to do. But once these panic attacks started happening every day, multiple times a day, I was ready to start doing it. And I spoke to, like I said, 2 psychiatrists and my regular therapist. We were all kind of working together. And then there was the ER that got involved, and they had certain people that got involved with trying to get me help too. Once that time got here, I was like, yeah, I'm ready for medicine. Give me medicine. And if you know anything about mental health medication, particularly things like antidepressants, they take a while to get in your system. And that was very scary for me at the time because, like I said, in that 10 days, I had been going to the ER. I had been talking to multiple doctors. And I genuinely, at the time, like, and when I think about it now, genuinely did not think that this was ever going to end. My therapist or a doctor, anyone would try to tell me, like, it's going to get better. You will feel better. I just didn't believe them. I just felt really hopeless. That's the best way I can put it at that point, because it was almost like, I'm sure towards the end of it, I was causing the panic attacks, because if you're already operating on like a level of anxiety anyway, and then you compound that by the fact that you're super anxious about the potential of having another panic attack, I think I was kind of bringing them on. And I couldn't get out of this loop. And when I was having them, I couldn't calm down. Like, I just thought I was dying. That's why I called an ambulance, because I started having a panic attack one day, and then my stomach, like, I had this pain in my stomach. I thought something was busting. I don't know, okay? Again, looking back on all of this now, it literally feels like a bad dream, so I can kind of smile and laugh a little bit about it. But at the time, I can tell you, it was not funny. It was very scary. So, I think it was on my 7th or 8th day of this panic stuff where my therapist started telling me that she thought the best thing I could have done is go inpatient. And that in and of itself was a very scary idea. And not even just because of the stigma that's attached to going to something like an inpatient treatment or a psych ward or whatever you want to call it. It was more just kind of like, I just couldn't believe things had gotten to that point. And the best way I can describe it is when I broke my ankle for 2 weeks after, I just kept being like, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe this is happening. It's just kind of I knew I had been struggling with the anxiety. I knew the panic attacks were, really bad and definitely interfering with my life. And in some cases at the time, my will to live, because all I wanted was the panic attacks to stop so bad. In the moment of having the panic attacks, I was so miserable. And again, like I said, really, really hopeless. But all that still felt almost like not enough. Okay, everyone, maybe we were being a little bit of alarmist. I don't need to go inpatient. It took about 2 more days after that was brought up for me to finally be like, I don't care. I'll go inpatient. Let's do whatever we have to do. My husband was very supportive of that. He was seeing how much I was struggling. I mean, again, every single day. Just imagine having one panic attack at least once a day, every day for 10 days. It was awful. And I went inpatient on a Saturday afternoon, and I was there until the following Wednesday afternoon. Yeah. And it was one of the best experiences I could have had. I think that that's got a lot to do with the place that I went to. I went to a place in Franklin, Tennessee called Rolling Hills. Highly recommend if you're in the immediate area and you need inpatient treatment, because I heard some stories while I was in there about other places, and I just understand that mental health is so hard to get, and it's really hard to get good mental health, but I had a really good experience there. One of the things that made it such a good experience was part of panic attacks, you just feel like you're going to die all the time. So being in a facility where I was like, okay, no one in this room, their whole job is to keep me alive. So if I have a panic attack and my heart stops beating, they're going to jump on my chest and get me back to life, right? It was kind of like the comfort in knowing that it was going to be okay if that happened. And then it was the fact that I was on new medication, because the panic attacks were kind of almost seemingly getting worse once I started medication. My therapist and my doctors were kind of like, we need to make sure that she's diagnosed correctly and she's on the right medication, and let's monitor her. So that was also really comforting as well, that while they were figuring out exactly what was going on with me and what the right medication was, that I was going to be supervised again and be around people who not only cared a lot about the situation in the form of the doctors and nurses that were there, but also the people that I was with. Like, I'll never forget the people I was in there with, and I made some really cool friends and met some really awesome people. But anyway, what I was actually diagnosed with is panic disorder. There was some concern that it might be bipolar because, like I said, the medication seemed to be having like almost adverse effects, although that was not nearly enough time to really see anything going on with the medication anyway. We were still kind of worried about it because you guys have heard me talk about these burnout cycles I will go through, and that is can be confused with like kind of a low-grade bipolar disorder, but I don't have that. I just had panic disorder, I have generalized anxiety disorder, and I have a little bit of depression, which I think I've always had depression going on. So all of these things, while very, very serious, have been very treatable for a very long time. And I just apparently needed to get to the lowest point I could get before I was going to do something about it. And while I hate that it took something, again, when I stop and I think about that 2-week period or so of my life and how crazy, just the dramatics of it all, maybe not the best choice of words, but again, when I picture the fact that an ambulance came to my house, you know what I mean? Like, that really puts in perspective for me how bad it was, because again, I don't feel anything like that anymore. I feel so much better that it all feels like a bad dream, like it happened to somebody else. And that's where I've been. I've been trying to heal and rest and, get used to my medication and kind of process what just happened. And I'm really sorry to everyone who I have been out of touch with. I have gotten so many messages from you guys checking on me, DMs, like I just needed a minute. I wasn't ready to kind of get back out here. And even still making this video and talking about this in a lot of ways is very awkward because obviously my immediate friends and family know what's going on, but I ain't told tons of people in my real life what's happening, and this is how they're going to find out, is like on the internet. It's kind of weird in that way, but hopefully, like I said at the top of the video, the goal would be to kind of motivate any of you out there who are dealing with a similar situation to get help if it's available to you, and if it's not available to you, find out what is available to you. Because again, this went on for a year. My therapist told me that she thought what was happening to me was kind of a long time coming. This is stuff, a lot of this anxiety and depression stuff is hardwired in me from childhood. And there's a lot of things I had never really learned how to process, and I shoved it deep down and it was ready to come out. And that's what happened. So it's very important to me now to focus on my mental health. And I'm really excited to continue to talk about things like that and kind of how to bounce back after a tough time, which I have a video about coming very soon. And I did also want to say really quick, because I made a video, a haul right before all this started. And in the haul, I spoke about Mel Thompson, and I just want to take the opportunity to say something about her really quick because I didn't make any videos during all that time. Mel was a wonderful person. And I'm not saying that the passing of her is what triggered this at all, but I heard of her passing at the beginning of the week, and by the end of the week, that's when the panic attack started happening. And I think on some level, I liked Mel as a person. I did know her offline. We were incredibly close, but I did speak with her and thought very highly of her and was very saddened by the news of her passing. But once my mother passed away, I think things like that, like death, particularly of people I know, just hits me a little different now because I understand it in a way that I didn't used to. So I just wanted to say that I am sorry for all of those in Mel's life who lost her. It's a tragic situation. I've been off the internet kind of for the past month, so I don't really know what has been said, what updates have come out or whatever. I hope everyone is just respecting her family and giving them space and giving them peace right now. But I did just want to speak on Mel and say that, she will always be in our hearts and our feelings forever, or our hearts and our thoughts forever. And we truly lost a good one when we lost Mel. But that is essentially the long and short of it. And I would like to get back to creating content tomorrow, honestly. I just felt the need to hurry up and get this out of the way. I'm sure it will come up again. You know, this isn't the last time I'll ever refer to this. And like I said, the coming videos are going to be kind of about the things I have been doing behind the scenes to kind of get my mojo back and start feeling better again. That will be one of the next videos that come out. I want to get back on the regular high maintenance content. I got like holiday and things like that themed content, planning content coming because of the new year and that kind of vibe everyone gets on. So I feel really good, really optimistic, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys know of any awesome resources for people seeking mental health that maybe don't have the financial means for it, please leave them down below. I will try to find some as well. Because again, that's kind of the point of the video. You know, if you need help, please get it. Don't wait for the situation to get as bad as it possibly can before you do something, because while I feel like I've learned and gained a lot from what happened in October, so much of it was unnecessary. But I'm going to leave you guys with that. I hope this video isn't too somber, and I will catch you guys in the next one.